How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. Today's the season finale. So you know what that means? We are going to address things that need to be addressed. I'm going to say this first thing. On the last podcast, I'm sorry. I really feel like I villainized myself. And there's something that I'm realizing about myself is that, yes, I'm a fucking perfectionist. And as you could tell from the last podcast, what I really do is I inadvertently hold myself to this ridiculously high standard. Like I need to be the guru. I need to be the guy that just gets it right every single time. That's me. That's been my whole life. And what I'm realizing about that is this. I take way too much fucking accountability for things and make myself feel guilty for things that I don't believe I should be feeling guilty for. The way that I portrayed myself on the last podcast was as if I'm doing these things to control other people, to take advantage of other people, that I'm this guy that doesn't know the ways that he's showing up. None of that is true. It's not true. Because the truth is like, I do nothing but fucking care about people. Genuinely. And yes, there are times where I don't show it, and that's true. That is true. Am I human? Yes. Do I make mistakes? Yes. Have I shown up in fear? Yes. But I portray this picture as if I'm this guy that's walking through the world that's just like this avoidant asshole that's taking advantage of people, and that's not fucking true. It's not. The truth is like, when I care about somebody, I fucking care. And it's really hard for me because I come on this podcast every week, and you know what? I hate fucking talking about this goddamn long distance bullshit situation. But guess what? Sometimes it's just happening to me. It's relevant to my life. And I have these feelings and things just happen. And that's just what it is. I don't want to take the focus of this podcast away from you, though. I want to help you. I want to help you grow. I want to help you become more authentic. I want to help you become more vulnerable and honest and real. And sometimes what happens is when I go through my own relationships, because I am so hard on myself about trying to be perfect, to be this person that is the example, I inadvertently make myself look like the bad guy. And I'm done doing that because that's not what happened this year. Yes, did I have a very tough year? I did. Were there a lot of lessons that I needed to learn? Absolutely. Have I been historically avoidant through most of my life? Yeah, I have. But what's crazy is this. In each one of those relationships, what was the issue? The issue is that I wanted more from them. True. And we can sit here and say that I wasn't giving that to them, but that also is not true. I show up. I text back. I answer the phone every single time. I'm patient. I'm there for every single person I've ever dated. They will tell you this to your face, point blank. I'm probably one of the most genuine people that they've dated. Yes. Have I made some mistakes? Definitely. Have I sometimes given mixed signals? Absolutely. But on the whole, if I cared about you and I appreciated you in any way, I showed up and I cared and I wanted that. I take a look back at this situation and I'm saying how I wasn't all in. The truth is like, I really did fucking love this girl. I did care. I honestly, genuinely wanted more from the relationship than she did. That's true. That's the truth. Because she didn't want to give up her autonomy, which is fair. And one of the biggest lessons I'm learning in relationships in general is that you can't put your happiness into another person. And that's what I do a lot, to be honest. It's honestly not that I'm just truly this avoidant asshole. Actually, what really happens is I literally just put my entire world into that person. And it becomes not fair because I have too many expectations. And that is the part I need to take accountability for. True. There are too many times where my expectations and trying to control people is too much. And the reason I try to control people so much is because I make them my world. It's not because I don't care. It's not because I'm an asshole. It's not because I don't show up. It's not because I'm going behind their back. It's not because I'm lying to them. It's because I want so much from my relationship that when I get close to somebody, that's what I do. That's my pattern. It's not I'm running rampant just taking advantage. Never in my life. That is the farthest thing from me. That's the last thing I want. Actually, what I really want the most from each person that I've ever dated was to just have this relationship that is so sacred and fucking amazing and just like the two of us rocking life and just going after it and just being in each other's lives and deep. But the problem is I push that dream really way too hard on people. And then I start to get scared because I'm realizing that they're not as in as I am. And then that's when I pull away. And that's when I avoid. I don't avoid people because I'm just avoidant and I want some fucking pussy. You know what I'm saying? It's not about me just wanting another chick. It's not about me just needing to be single. It's not that at all. It's like I almost desperately want these people to show up in a way that I want to show up in, which is not fair, which I agree with. But it has never been about my integrity. It has never been about my intention. And we can sit here and say that these relationships are toxic. I think somebody left a comment though. You're in these toxic relationships. Are they really that toxic? I mean, you know, to some degree, you might say that they are, right? Just because of maybe the hot and cold nature of the relationship. But there's always so much love there. It's never about, again, just fucking people over. It's never about me intentionally wanting to hurt anyone. The intention for me in every single relationship is to go the distance. It is because I really want something deep. And honestly, that's a little bit of what has been happening to me lately, which is I've been pushing that dream and wanting that relationship with people so much that inadvertently it's pushing people away because I keep forgetting to take care of myself. And that's the point that I wanted to get across in the last podcast. The reason I'm almost really what I needed to apologize to, the person I needed to apologize to the most was not the people in my life. The person I need to apologize the most to is myself. I got to say, sorry, Chris. You put all these enormous expectations on yourself. Sorry that you just give yourself so much to the point that you're not taking care of yourself. That you're not staying focused on what matters. Having a good balance of independence. The controllingness that I feel like I might come off with, really underneath all of that, is just a desire for deep love. It's not about being an asshole. It's not about trying to take advantage. It's about me trying to so badly and to a fault, because it's almost desperately, trying to find this relationship that I so badly seek. And the problem with that is that if you are so desperate for a relationship, that's when it eludes you the most. I'm chasing it. I'm pushing for it. But in the reality is I'm forgetting about the most important person in the equation, and that's me. And I know that sounds weird, but the truth is that a great relationship is I take care of me for you. It's not I just take care of you and you take care of me. That's not how that works. I know that sounds weird, but that's not how it works. You cannot put your happiness into another person because automatically, inadvertently, you will start putting expectations on that person, and that's not really love. You're not allowing that person to be autonomous. You're not allowing that person to be them. You're not giving that person their personal freedom. And in a lot of ways, what I have been struggling to navigate is accepting that about another person. That when I want to give my care and my love to this person so much, I can't put the expectations that they are going to receive it and give it back in the same way. That's not fair. What I've really tried to do in a lot of my relationships is that I meet somebody, there are things that maybe are not aligned, but because I really want that relationship to work out, I just push it. And I see that as a pattern with me. It's actually a lack of boundaries in that way where I'm not choosing myself enough. And I know that sounds really strange coming from an avoidant person, but that's really the truth. And that's what I'm realizing. I think I'm more anxious than avoidant. And that's the backwards problem. The backwards problem is that I keep thinking of myself as an avoidant person, but truly I'm an anxious person. And what's the solution for an anxious person? An anxious person needs to turn into themselves. And that's the funny thing is, because I've been thinking that I've been avoidant, I keep doing what? Turning into the relationship. I keep thinking, oh, Chris, this is just you running away. Oh, Chris, you're just not being vulnerable. Oh, you're just not showing up enough. That's not true. I've gotten it backwards the whole time. And that's the big lesson that I needed to learn this year is this. I put all these expectations on myself to be vulnerable and to show up and to be there no matter what, that I am doing it to a fault. I am anxious because I do care about the relationship. I think that's what I'm saying. Underneath the avoidance is a deeper anxiety. And that's, again, what I wanted to portray is that a lot of that avoidance, if there's any, is really just fear, but also, no, I'm sorry. My avoidance is probably the right thing that I should have been doing. I know that sounds strange, but the truth is, I knew that I wasn't getting my needs met in a lot of my relationships. And I wasn't able to walk away. I wasn't able to say, hey, listen, you have these certain things that you feel like you need in a relationship, and this person that you're dating is not giving them to you. And my mindset was, well, you always run away, so you just need to keep trying. Just keep trying. When no, what I really should have done was said, hey, this person is how they are. They're showing up how they are. Do I accept them for exactly the way that they're showing up? Because if I did that, I might say, hey, I accept you. I love you. I think you're great. This is the way that you show up. This is how I like things in relationships. I don't think we're a good fit for each other. And again, I think this is what I've been trying to express on the podcast more than anything lately is just the lack of me turning into myself, the disconnection from myself, the inability to accept that I haven't got things right and to give myself some goddamn grace. Because I'm giving everybody grace. I'm apologizing to everybody. I'm saying, oh, I'm so sorry for showing up this way. Why am I doing this? When in reality, I needed to turn around and be like, hey, that wasn't the right situation for you. Hey, why am I trying to repair things with somebody that clearly is showing me that they don't want to do that? And that's the work that I need to do. I need to lean into Chris. It's not about me being more vulnerable anymore. It's not about me being avoidant anymore. It's not that. It's actually about me having good boundaries and recognizing that what I need matters and recognizing that even though sometimes I don't show up perfect, I still deserve somebody that's going to show up for me in return, just like I did them. That's the truth. The truth is I've made myself, and again, villainized myself, and I feel so guilty for feeling like I need to fix all these things because I'm this fucking guru or that I have these expectations to live up to. And inadvertently, what I have done is I've taken on too much guilt. I've taken on too much of the blame. It wasn't my fault. I tried. I showed up. I was there at the end. I said, hey, do you want to be here? Do you want to fix this? Do you want to try? And I was met with no. And then I turn around on the podcast and be like, oh, well, yeah, it's my fault. I wasn't all in and I pushed her to be all in and this is why it didn't work out. No, the reason it didn't work out is because my needs were not getting met and I had to hold up a fucking boundary. Yeah, again, I made some mistakes. Yeah, I tried to break up with her and slept with somebody else. Yeah, I cheated. That's true. This is true. That is a fact. There's things I could take accountability for. But the fact of the matter is there are things that in every single one of my relationships where like I am trying to show up in a certain way. And again, they're trying their best too. This is not to fault them either. It's nobody's fault. And this is what I'm realizing about healing emotional wounds. The truth is you need to forgive everyone. Everyone. You want to show up clean to a relationship? You want to find the best possible relationship? Forgive everyone. And especially yourself. And that's the lesson that I needed to learn. This is what's all happening is my perfectionism and my lack of grace for myself and my lack of self-acceptance for myself this is why I haven't felt good. It's not about the girl. It's not about the breakup. It's not about things not working out. It is how hard I am on myself. The reason I don't feel good has nothing to do with any of my relationships. It has everything to do with the way that I judge myself. It has everything to do with the way that I put these ridiculous standards on myself. And then when I don't meet those standards, I feel like garbage. And that's when I end up running back to these fucking people. When I talk about running back to these people because I'm not feeling good about myself, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not in my worthiness. The reason I'm not in my worthiness is not about them. Once again, it is not about anybody else besides yourself. The reason I'm not in my worthiness this year, and probably for a large portion of my life where I say I'm calling myself insecure Chris on here, is because of this fucking ridiculous standard that I set on myself that I can't be human, that I can't make mistakes, that I almost like don't deserve love or a relationship because I have done some of these things. And that's not true. I deserve love. I deserve this girl showing up and doing it the right way. I deserved more vulnerability. I deserved somebody that would give me some fucking grace that I ran away for a week and didn't go date somebody else. But here's the thing. I need to forgive her because she's doing the best that she can too. She's scared too. She's not perfect either. And this is what I'm talking about, forgiveness for everyone, and including yourself. If you want to really move past the situation and feel happy again, there's only one pathway. There's only one pathway. Forgive them. Forgive yourself. Forgive that person. Honest. And I truly, and I swear to God, I mean this. And because I wrote it down in my journal. I forgive this person for anything that they made me feel. If I felt rejected, if I felt disappointed, if I felt that they didn't show up enough, you are forgiven. Because it's not about you. Those are feelings that I could handle, that are about me, that are about my own expectations. Like I said, none of this is about the relationships in your life. None of this is about, oh, they took advantage of me, or, oh, they're avoidant and they're the reason that I feel sad. No, the reason that you feel sad is because you're being so hard on yourself about the situation, thinking that you could have done more. That's what I'm saying. I sit here and I ruminate and I'm like, oh, if I just would have been perfect, if I just would have been perfect. You don't control other people. Your happiness doesn't come from other people. And do you understand? This is why I sit here and again, I look like this guy that's out of control and he doesn't know what he's doing. And the only reason that it looks that way is because I'm holding myself to this standard that I need to be perfect. And then I come on here and I apologize and make it seem like, oh my God, I'm just not good enough. That's what it comes down to, right? It's the feeling of not being good enough. And again, the reason I don't feel good enough is because of the standards that I put on myself. And inadvertently, I do push that onto my partners. Because think about that. If I have extremely high expectations for myself, what do you think I do to my relationships or people in my life? Well, specifically my relationships. High expectations. Expectations that they won't ever reach. But also that's where I need to turn around and say, Chris, why do you have expectations on yourself that you know you will never reach? And the reason that you're suffering and the reason that you don't feel good enough is not about, again, anybody else besides the expectations that you're putting on yourself. And that's what I'm trying to say. You want to heal that? You want to heal that feeling of not being good enough? You want to heal the judgments that you're making about yourself? Forgiveness. Forgiveness. That's what I'm saying. I need to turn around and say, Chris, it's okay. It's okay. You're not perfect. You're human. You do deserve love. You are whole. You are enough. You're enough as you are right now. Beyond the followers, beyond the me just being a living human being, just because I have skin and bones and I've got a soul, that is good enough. That is good enough. You don't need more. You don't need the bells and whistles. And again, this is what we do as a society and as people is we hold ourselves to these standards that are unfair to ourselves. We feel like shit. We don't feel good enough. And because we don't feel good enough, we then have people in our lives that treat us that way. The only reason I'm continuing to show up for somebody that's not showing up for me is because I don't feel good enough. And the reason I don't feel good enough is because of the ridiculous standards I set for myself. And then I'm pushing that standards onto other people, and that doesn't feel good for them. So really, for me to solve this relationship conundrum, it starts with the relationship with myself. It starts with feeling good enough for me, forgiving myself for the mistakes that I've made, realizing that I still deserve somebody to show up for me, even if I haven't been perfect. And I mean, think about y'all's relationships. I'm sure that's how everybody feels. You think about that fucking ex that abandoned you, and you think about all the reasons why or things that you could have done better and why it didn't work out. Guess what? You still deserve that love. Despite your mistakes, despite the things that you've done, you still deserved that relationship. You did. You deserve love. And that's the thing is you need to tell yourself and remind yourself. That's the truth. Let it go. And you let it go by forgiving them for not showing up in the ways that they did, or for showing up in the ways that they did, and then forgiving yourself for showing up in the ways that you did. But then letting it go. Let it go. All right, it didn't work out, wasn't a right fit, wasn't a good match. Here's the thing. The ways that they were showing up, I need you to ask yourself this question. If they were to continue to show up the way that they were showing up, is it good enough for you? Do you feel good in that relationship? Let's say you're dealing with an avoidant partner and they barely text you, or they just don't show up that much. They're hyper independent. They're just not giving you a lot. That's just how they are, right? Accept it. Can you date that person? You can't change people. You can't turn a cat into a dog. And for a very long time in my relationship, I was trying to do that. Instead of setting the boundary and saying, hey, we're not aligned. Hey, we're not in the same place. This isn't working. I tried to sit there and please and change. And how many of us do this? You sit there and you ruminate and you try to change the outcome. You try to control the other person. You give them more expectations. You try to tell them to change. You give them all the reasons in the book why they're not doing it right. Instead of looking at yourself and saying, if I just accepted them the way that they're showing up, do I still want to be in this relationship? That's got to be the question. And if that answer is no, it's not on them to change. It's on you to change. And that's what I needed to learn. Is my happiness is not them. I cannot change them. I need to accept them. And then I need to show up in the ways for myself where I deserve love and have enough self-love to say, hey, I don't like the way that you're showing up, and this doesn't work for me. I'm not going to attempt to change you because I can't change you, and I'm just going to walk away and find somebody that's more aligned to me because I have enough self-love to realize that I can't change you, but I have enough love to realize that I don't have to take this abuse. I don't have to take your half-ass energy. And that's what I should have been saying to myself these last 4 months. Nah, I don't need your bullshit phone call. Nah, I don't need your bullshit attention when you don't want to show up. And guess what? You could have your reasons for not doing it. That's the thing. It's not their fault. They're not wrong, right? Because think about it. They're living in their own world, right? This girl, she has her own reasons for not wanting to come and visit me, right? Or not wanting to come and show up. And again, for your partner, whatever reasons they have, they probably have good reasons for not wanting to give you enough energy and effort. Maybe they just don't like you that much. Maybe you've made mistakes that make them scared of you. It doesn't matter what their reasons are because they're also not wrong. But that's why you need to accept it. And that's why you can't villainize them either. You know what I'm saying? My own anger is based on my own expectations. My own expectations that are not getting met. Like I said, it's not their fault. Because they have their own personal freedom. How they see life, how they show up, how they want to be in relationships is completely up to them. You have no control over that. The only reason that you feel down or depressed or sad or angry at somebody else in a relationship is because you are putting expectations on them that are not fair. That's the truth. Because if you took care of your half, right? If you were just happy for you and you just allowed them to show up whatever way they wanted and you didn't try to control them in any sort of way, then you could make a decision on whether or not this relationship works for you. But again, to me, it's the standards that we place on ourselves. We feel like shit. There's no self-love. And because there's no self-love, when somebody comes around and gives us a little bit of attention, and they give you just a little bit, and they say, here's a little bit of attention so I can control you, we accept it. We're actually being controlled by them. That's the truth. When you're showing up to somebody where you know you're not getting enough, to me, what that sounds to me like is there's not enough self-worth. There's not enough self-love. There's not enough belief that what you need is important and what you need can be found elsewhere. And that's where you're getting stuck. And that's where I'm getting stuck. I'm getting stuck into the belief that if things aren't right, I need to just stay. Because that's what's been happening. Again, I feel like I'm this avoidant person that I just need to turn back into the relationship. That's not true. That's actually not true. What's actually true is that if I'm recognizing that there's friction and things are not aligned, I actually need to say, deuces, I gotta go. Goodbye. You don't want to show up for me in the ways that I want to show up for you? See you later. That's what it is. But instead, I sit here and I point the finger again. But mainly, I've been pointing the finger at myself. And that's the problem. Because it's not that I haven't been enough. It's not that I wasn't showing up right. I showed up plenty. I cared. But I let myself get controlled. That's the truth. I let myself get controlled for BS attention. Instead of recognizing that I wasn't getting enough. But I wasn't recognizing that because I was holding myself to some ridiculous standard and putting myself down and making myself not feel good enough. And that's why I've been on quote unquote toxic relationships, if you want to call it that. Really what it comes down to is, again, me not feeling like enough. And that's what I really wanted to say on the last podcast in a better way. And I just don't think I really did that. It's a self-worth issue. You got to love yourself. And self-love starts with acceptance. And it starts with forgiveness. And it starts with believing that you deserve love no matter the mistakes that you've made. And that's what I need to realize. I am successful regardless of how I show up that day. Even if I show up at 60% that day, it's still a good day. Hey, I didn't, communicate this thing properly. Or hey, I ran away for a week or two. Does that mean I don't deserve love? Does that mean I don't deserve this relationship? Why am I holding myself to this ridiculous standard? That's not fair. I'm human. And that's what I realized is like, I've got a fucking heart of gold. Like I care a lot. And my integrity is just, but the problem is I have so much integrity. It sounds weird. I have so much integrity. I've realized that it's become a fault. I am trying to be so one-to-one with my word, and I'm recognizing that is impossible as a human. I'm trying to be this like superhuman, don't make mistakes. He doesn't make errors. He doesn't miscommunicate. He doesn't fuck people over. And that's not fair. Because it's part of being a human being is that I'm not going to be that. I'm not perfect, but I'm still lovable. But I still deserve that commitment from somebody. I still deserve you to show up and show me energy in ways that you have not. And that's where we all get kind of stuck, is right there in that zone of, is this what I deserve? And the reason that we feel sometimes we only deserve a half of somebody's attention is because we just don't feel like we're truly worthy of that deep commitment and love. But why don't you feel worthy of that love? You don't feel worthy of that love because you haven't forgiven yourself for the things that you haven't done right, or the shame that you have around yourself. Think about your insecurities. Do you not deserve love because your nose is too big? You're not tall enough? You're too fat? You're too skinny? Those are all fucking judgments. That's the world made you think that way. You're fucking beautiful the way that you are. You deserve love the exact way that you are. You don't need additional shit. I don't need more money. I don't need more followers. I don't need to have more muscles and tattoos and all this other stuff. I am lovable right now. I am lovable in the same pants that I wore last week. I'm lovable because I didn't put curly conditioner in my hair today. I'm lovable even if I don't fucking know. I pick my nose and I eat it. I do that. I still deserve love. I make some mistakes sometimes. I still deserve love. And that's what we forget. We forget because we're so bogged down by the shame in our lives. We're so bogged down by the things that we wish we could have done better that we lose the plot. The plot is you are enough right now. You're beautiful right now without the boob job, without the nose job, without the plastic surgery. And it's hard to believe that. And that's what I'm saying. It's a disease. So that's the biggest lesson I really learned this year. Honestly, this whole year was just an accumulation of pressure that I put on myself. And all I do is I stack the pressure on. Oh, Chris, you need to make more videos. Oh, Chris, you need a relationship to show these fucking people that you are good enough, that you're really this relationship fucking guru. Because if you don't have a relationship, what the fuck are you? Just a single asshole? Just fucking people. First off, fuck you. You don't know me. I fucking love hard. I care. I fucking appreciate people. I show up. I communicate as best I can, as humanly possible. And guess what? There are times I mess up. Sorry. Hey, guess what? I haven't had a relationship longer than a year. That's just part of my life. Do I not deserve that? Am I fucking people over? Am I trying not to get that? We all want love. Why the fuck are you listening to this shit? Because it's not easy. But again, the backwards thinking for me this year was thinking, oh, I need to turn back into the relationship. Oh, I just need more people, or I need more success. I need more of the external shit. I need the plastic surgery. This is what, if you just keep stacking on the things, eventually you'll get to that place where you're lovable. Not true. Actually, fuck what anybody thinks. Actually, you're lovable right now. Actually, despite the mistakes that you've made in your life, you still deserve a relationship and you're going to get one. And the only way you actually get one is if you believe what I just said. The relationship that I really want, and this is what I'm recognizing, is based on the relationship I have with myself. And right now, the relationships in my life are a reflection of the relationships that I have with myself. The relationship I have with myself is too many expectations, too hard on himself, and not enough grace and not enough acceptance. And think about this. I think if you were to ask anybody I've ever dated what my biggest problem was, that they would tell you those exact two words. I didn't feel grace, and I felt like it was too much and too many expectations. It's a reflection of the relationship that you have with yourself. Because if I had pure love for Chris, and if I was happy with Chris, my relationships would reflect that. Because what would happen is if I was truly happy Chris, the relationships in my life would also be happy. And if they weren't, or they were abusive towards me, or they weren't showing up for me like this fucking person is, I would say, hey, appreciate you, but I deserve more. I deserve somebody that's going to show up for me and see through my bullshit a little bit, because I'm willing to do it for you. But again, I got to have that grace for me first. I got to have that forgiveness for me first. I got to have that love for me first. Because if I don't have it here, again, I'm not going to be able to hold the boundary if I need to. I'm going to be way too controlling. My entire happiness and my entire worthiness is going to come from the relationship. And that's not fair. And again, the reason that it's like that is because I'm not feeling good enough about myself. Do you see the relationship with that? Because then I need you. Because then I need you in my life to prop me up, to make me feel good. But that to me is a self-worth thing, right? That's a Chris not feeling good enough for him. And so, this being the season finale, I'm going to take 2 weeks off between now and I'll start again in January. But that's what needs to be the focus. How can I love Chris? How can I give Chris some grace? And I'm doing it right now, but I'm telling myself, take some time away. You need a little bit of time for yourself, privacy. You don't need to talk about your relationships right now. You don't need to put all my shit out there because I'm always giving so much of myself so much. Slow down. Slow down. Get in tune with Chris. Can I find happiness and joy outside of a relationship right now, outside of the podcast right now, outside of the external validation and the bullshit? Because to me, that seems like step number one. And I don't know where you are in your life, but maybe that's a good idea for you too right now is use this break to get more in tune and in touch with yourself and accept yourself more and love yourself more and learn to be happy with just the body and the life that you have. As is. No, you don't need extra shit. No. And that's what needs to happen. And then once I do that, I'll come back fresh, clear mindset. We're going to get better. We're going to show up even more authentic. We're going to learn more things. We're going to bring science. We're going to bring all the things that we can to help you get to a place in your relationships that you really feel truly great about yourself and then find a great partner. Because that's the steps. But I think it starts with you feeling good enough about yourself. And that's what I'm saying about me right now is this year I haven't felt good enough. And I got to really look and reflect and say, why do I have such high, ridiculous standards on myself? Can I let go of those? Can I forgive myself for not being A1 or not being where I want to be or not having the relationship yet and let it go and just say, no, what I need to do is love myself right now as is, and the relationships will come. The success will come. The creativity will come. She's going to come. I can make her come for sure. I guess there's one thing that's good with having a rotating door, for a little bit of my life. Anyways, I'm over being a hoe. But that's what it is. And I look at my relationships upcoming, right? There was this new girl that I was talking to. There was bickering and there was things in the way. Chris, get rid of it. Get rid of it. That's it. It's that simple. Hey, we're not aligned? No, done. I'm not shoving myself into somebody else anymore. I'm not dating somebody just because anymore. I'm not just going to force a relationship. If I feel that there are differences and there are friction, I don't need it. Hey, we're not in the right place. Okay, deuce a loose. I got myself. I'm good. I will find somebody that aligns to me. I know I will. And that's the thing too, is I know that, again, respectfully, the person that you say no to, guess what? You give them the opportunity to go find the person that they're meant to be with. That's respect. It's actually respectful to tell somebody no that you don't feel like you're aligned to, because then you can go find what you're looking for honestly, and they can go find what they're looking for honestly. But again, instead of that, we try to pick a single person. We try to force them to change. We force them to be the thing that we want them to be. And we realize that's futile. It can't happen. And that's where the frustration and the suffering and the bullshit and this lingering fucking relationship for the whole fucking... She's a cat. No. She's a dog. I'm a cat. That's it. Let's make it real clear. We are not supposed to be together. We're different people, different circumstances. Let it go. Find the people that are more aligned to us. But first, get some self-love. First, accept yourself. First, love yourself. And that means loving yourself despite all of your shame and your bullshit. So I'm going to see you guys in 2 weeks. I love you. And it's been a fucking crazy year, but it's time to lean into myself for a little bit. And it's time for me to accept and love myself a little bit deeper. And I haven't necessarily done that. And so hopefully this time away will give me an opportunity to reset. And guess what? We're going to come back in the new year and we're going to fucking crush it. I already know. It's game over. It is. I've already manifested it. Because I know that's the thing. Well, I'm not giving away my love though. You know what I'm saying? My energy, that's not going away. My intensity is not going away. I love to learn. I love to deliver hard-hitting fucking shit. And guess what? I'm going to find a lover that is on my level with that. That wants that deep love. And we're going to build it slow because I'm not going to make them my world and my happiness anymore. Because that's the lesson I needed to learn this year. Can't make somebody else your happiness. I can't make somebody else my whole world. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all of that intensity, not to another person, but to myself. And what's going to happen? If I could bring all of that intensity of love towards me, what do you think is going to find me? The right person. And somebody that's going to match that because they're going to vibrate with me on that on that level, right? I want somebody that's vibrating on that level with me. And if you're not vibrating on that level with me, deuce loose. Everybody that's been in my life so far that I've ever dated, chop, chop, chop. Done. Cut off. Not for me. We're letting it go. We're finding ourselves. All right. Peace out, bitch.